panel is on newcomers that are eager to conquer the Baltic Sea. And for that, I'll be joined by Magnus, Brogaard, Larsen. And hello, would you like to grab a microphone? Hello, good afternoon.
Thank you.
And I think we're joined by Anu Eslas online. Oh, hello. Good afternoon, Anu.
Hello, hello.
Hello, can you hear us? Yes, sit down or...
I do perfectly. I hope you hear me also.
Yeah, we can hear you. Thank you so much for connecting to us. Now, the Baltic Sea is more or less uncharted offshore wind territory. And at least 3 countries are eyeing that potential. Anu, you are head of international business development at Vilnius-based Ignitis Renewables. Your company is developing Lithuania's first offshore wind farm, the 700-megawatt project Koronia Nord. When is that supposed to go online, and what else is in the offshore cards of Lithuania?
Yeah, thank you for the question. Indeed, we are really proud developers of the first Lithuanian offshore wind park in Lithuania, next to Palanga. So it is 700 megawatts, as you rightfully said. It is around 37 kilometers from the distance, from the shore. And the water depth is also 48 meters. It depends what sites precisely you are on. And yeah, the tricky question is, considering the supply chain challenges, when it will be put into the grid. So our aim is to do it in the 2030. Mm-hmm. So let's hope that everything will be according to the plan.
All right, we're crossing fingers. Are there other projects coming up in Lithuania?
Absolutely. There is a second offshore auction coming up, hopefully second part of the year. It will be also open to everybody, happy to invite everybody in. It will be hopefully also CFD indexed and so on and so forth. So let's see who will be the lucky winner of the second site in Lithuania. But what else, of course, Lithuania is doing, and as they are the Baltics champions on high targets and ambition plans, they are, of course, looking more integrating the markets in the Baltic states and actually starting to build up the energy hub. And they are rather seeing also in that way that hydrogen is an important player for the future, and the electricity export is a plan of our everyday strategy and action plan.
Well, talking about the Baltic Sea as a whole, your company is also active in Latvia, and you yourself, you used to be the head of offshore wind at the Estonian Ministry of Economic Affairs, so you really have the overview. What's happening across the other 2 countries,
Oh yes, it's quite tricky to even say shortly what's going on. I think that easy to go with Latvia is that they are focusing on Wind project, what is 2 countries project, Estonia and Latvia together. Each of them are having 1,000 megawatts capacities. And indeed, at the moment, Latvia is only working on Wind development. So they are doing site investigation, they are working on the conditions and preparing the law and so on and so forth. With Estonia, it's a little bit different because they are owning already 10% of the Baltic states. So the seaside is quite extreme and quite extensive. And also in Estonia, what we are having, we are already having more than, if I'm correct, considering last days' news, more than, I think, 8 gigawatts offshore wind project in the pipeline. So it's quite extensive. So Estonians are looking it more about export potential and trying to figure it out how to make the interconnected market work, where is the energy most needed, how we can actually build up the energy or new solidarity for Europe. Because, of course, we have been quite thankful and quite grateful for the cooperation in the security field and defense field and depending on others. So now we consider that this might be the giving back chance to other countries who doesn't have either so big offshore areas or they don't have capacities to deliver onshore developments also.
So you're giving electricity back for security? Yeah.
Kinda,
That's
it's
the
something.
plan.
This is the only thing what we have. So considering the sizes of the country, everybody have to find their own specific and their niche capabilities.
Right. And to what extent do the three countries actually work together in setting up all that offshore wind energy capacity, also when it comes to the supply chain?
Sadly, indeed, the Baltic states have not been so united because they are three different countries, totally different language, totally different mentalities also. So far, they have been everybody thinking one company, one project, one country, one project in that way. But what we have seen now, and we are quite grateful that everybody are talking about the potential electricity export. So therefore, we see as Ignitis and who is active in all the countries, that we can bring the countries together in the offshore. We have unique opportunity to be a bigger player together than every country separately. And we have to find, of course, the new mechanisms, how to export the energy, what is potentially in all the countries accessibly there, to the markets what is needing it. So therefore, the interconnection, of course, is a main topic, how to sort it out, how to finance the project, what is not needed for their own countries, but rather for others. And therefore, the building up the grid, interconnection, the electricity hub, what we are having at the moment planned in Lithuania, how to make it all together as a vision, as a one common project is the main challenge we are tackling and we are working on.
Do you feel that developers from outside, not from the Baltic countries, understand that a common approach might make sense? Do they either teaming up? Are they spreading their projects across the three countries?
The developers are absolutely, they are working together, but due to market change, I think the international attentions have been a little bit changed, or the focus have been more on so-called old offshore markets. But we are really happy to welcome, of course, Deep Wind and in Estonia market, what they won the last auction in Estonia, and some other cooperation partners for different projects. And of course, we are the lucky ones because we are cooperating in Estonia and Latvia with CIP. So already our co-partner is on the stage.
Well, we are lucky to have, thank you very much, Anu Eslas. We are lucky to have your project partners with us, or one of them, Magnus, Brogaard, Larsen, your associate partner at CIP Copenhagen Infrastructure Partners. And as Anu just mentioned, you've teamed up with Ignitis on an offshore project portfolio of a bit more than 2 gigawatts, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah. From an investor's point of view, why is the Baltic Sea so interesting?
Yeah, so I think taking a step back, we see the Baltic Sea as a sort of a key, playing a key role in the overall net zero transition in Europe. I think there's an overall target to develop roughly 400 gigawatts by 2040 or 2050 to support the sort of decarbonization, and a lot of energy is required for that purpose. So the Baltic Sea, as we look at it, and the future energy system in the Baltic Sea, is actually super relevant, of course, for the Baltic states and the nations around the Baltic Sea, but also, as Anu is pointing out here, very relevant for sort of playing a role in fueling the German and Polish and other markets that are in need of green electrons. So tapping into that potential, and not only talking about offshore wind, but also all the related infrastructure, being transmission, power to X projects, energy hubs or energy islands, is for us as an investor quite a big opportunity. And I think at CIP we are set up to basically be a part of that early play, and be a part of sort of setting the sort of shaping the system. And I think we have in Ignitis found a partner that actually have sort of quite a similar vision. So quite a complementary partnership.
You clearly seem to like each other. So lots of potential there, as you said. What's the main hurdle in the way? What are the conditions for this to come through?
So I think we are already seeing really good sort of first steps being taken. First of all, by I think Lithuania has been sort of quite proactive in designing a framework for getting the first offshore wind projects off the ground. We see Poland and also Denmark, Germany already having some projects up and spinning. I think in order sort of to unlock the full potential, as Arno was also alluding to a little bit here, you probably need somewhat sort of to take the collaboration between the markets to the next level and ensure sort of an integrated plan for how to basically transport energy around and in that way creating, of course, a bigger self-sufficiency for the markets around the Baltic Sea, but also creating a more stable and resilient energy system. So I think as sort of market by market, there is probably a challenge in delivering very large-scale offshore wind, for example, to Estonia or Latvia or Lithuania for that matter, beyond the initial few projects. But actually unlocking the potential in those waters and then bringing it to other markets, I think that could make sense. And then it has sort of somewhat a complementary profile to what we see in the North Sea, where you have really attractive wind regimes. But again, when wind is blowing in the North Sea, you have a different wind regime in the Baltic Sea. And I think jointly it's probably could play a very complementary role in like the future long-term system. Yeah. So
Again,
I think regulation policy clarity is going to be key, but the special challenge around the Baltic Sea is the sort of need for a very like integrated plan, which we don't really yet see. There's some good political ambitions, but we still need to see that being carried out in real life.
And from an investor's point of view, what kind of risk factors are there, specific risk factors in the Baltic Sea?
So I think that is route to market. So in order to take an investment decision, you need a fairly clear understanding of your and certainty around your permitting, grid availability, and route to market or offtake. And I think those components can be somewhat challenging when the regulation is not fully mature and when the market design is not fully sort of supportive of offshore wind. And I think some of the infrastructure that is needed to support the export case to Germany from the Baltic region and integrate the Baltic region even further is not being. It's on the drawing board, but it's not certain yet. So I think from an investor perspective, those are some of the bits that we would like to have clarity on before we can then take a full-scale investment decision on offshore wind in, for example, Estonia, in Sweden, in Finland, and so on.
How important is the proximity to Russia in all this?
I guess it's quite important. I think it has quite what we've seen over the past couple of years is that it has accelerated some of the efforts and the focus on the renewable build-out and of course self-sufficiency when it comes to renewable energy. I think when it comes to the individual projects and our ability to obtain permits, there are of course some areas of the Baltic Sea that is sort of you would say reserved for military exercise areas and for NATO and local armed forces. So of course that coexistence and ability to develop frameworks that allow both for offshore wind and energy infrastructure to be deployed in this region, while also of course making sure that we have space and flexibility to sort of coexist with armed forces. I think that will be key. So that's another element that we would need get more clarity on, and where we see some markets, including Sweden, being a bit reluctant to push ahead with their offshore projects. Yeah.
Anu, I saw you were taking some notes. Is there anything you'd like to add to that, or would you like to comment on what we just heard?
No, absolutely. This is exactly what I feel the same, and I think that being in the local player, you have to always think about the closeness and the risks, and you have to be aware of that, and therefore I see also that we are moving together to the right direction. All the developers, off-takers, the need is there. Now we really have to kind of put the players together in the to have the same vision, that everybody start to work on it. And I think that the challenge is that usually the interconnections or the export cables are developed by the TSOs only. But what we see is that they are not controlling our project pipelines, and they are not controlling the offtake needs. So therefore, what we are also always echoing is that we need to combine those three Baltic states together, because reality is that even though we are already having 8-9 gigawatts project in the pipeline in the offshore side, we are still only local consumption-wise 1/4 of the Polish market. So therefore, we are really wanting to give back to Europe something what we have and what we can do. So therefore, we want to engage all the TSOs, all the member states, all the developers, all the off-takers, potential off-takers, and actually build up the vision, build up the grid plan, build up the route to market. So I think that this is the only way forward, and we simply have to now get the political acceptance and the mandate for that.
All right, great. Well, lots of potential, but also some challenges ahead. Thank you so much, Magnus. Thank you, Anu, for tuning in. And
thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Yeah.